Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an honor and a privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here and the rest of the film fan community as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, all things going on, a little bit of television too, here and there if we feel like talking about it. And listen, we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. Thoughts and rumors going around that Venom isn't in the Venom movie very much. We've got a few things to talk about, like the Sicario trailer. Will movie tickets become the next feeding ground for scalpers? A bunch of whole stuff in the movie news feed. But before we get going on any of that, we got to go right off the top of a couple of new things that just recently dropped here. First of all, this is neat. One of my biggest, most pleasant surprise movies of the past year was The Big Sick with Kumail Nanjiani. That movie was freaking brilliant. If you haven't seen it, it's touching and everything, but it's also unbelievably funny. Well, anyway, news came out that Kumail and Guardians of the Galaxy former WWE star Dave Bautista are going to star in a new movie together called Stuber. Now, here's where Stuber is a very odd name. Here's where it basically comes from. In the movie, Kumail, if I understand it right, is going to play an Uber driver, which is kind of funny because he also played an Uber driver in The Big Sick. But anyway, Kumail's going to play an Uber driver, and his name is Stu, hence the title Stuber. He picks up this grizzled cop being played by Dave Bautista and gets caught up in a chase for a criminal and all this kind of stuff. It sounds like an 80s style situational comedy with a couple of really interesting leads. Now, this catches my attention for a couple of reasons. Number one, Kumail Nanjiani, I think he's hilarious. He's one of the best comedians in Hollywood right now. I think the guy's awesome. On top of that, we got Dave Bautista, who has slowly over the past 5 years or so been getting better and better and better as an actor. And of course, he was in Blade Runner 2049, did a nice little job with his small part in the film. He did a nice little job there. But we're seeing him continue to evolve, and comedic chops seem to be pretty good for him playing Drax the Destroyer. So this could be really special. I mean, it might be nothing. It might be a throwaway movie for sure. But there's so much about this that sounds appealing to me that it just jumped up and caught my attention. The one other thing here that we'll talk about off the top, not to beat a dead horse or anything, but it is now completely official. Justice League has completed with the release of the Blu-ray and everything. Justice League has now officially completed its theatrical run. And while it looked like for a while maybe it would catch Man of Steel, it didn't, thus officially making Justice League the worst performing financially of all the DCEU films, finishing in with $657 million, just a little bit behind Man of Steel. Some people thought maybe it could catch Man of Steel. It didn't, so it's official. What should have been easily the highest grossing of the DCEU movies, and maybe one of the highest grossing films of all time, if you had asked us a few years ago, Justice League, finishes officially as the lowest of the DCU movies. And I believe the order goes Batman vs. Superman at number one, Wonder Woman, I think Suicide Squad, Man of Steel, Justice League. I believe that's the order that it goes in. But at any rate, it is now official. Justice League has finished its run, and it's officially finished as the worst performing of the DCU movies. Really unfortunate, especially since I kind of like Justice League. I don't care how much you hate it, how many of you hate it. I get it. I understand the movie has its problems. I dug it, okay? So there, whatever. I thought it deserved a little bit better than that. I did, but hey, that's what it finishes at. All right, guys, now before we get into the main email topics of the day, I like to make sure here on the John Campea Show that you guys, if you watch this show, you're caught up on all the significant stuff going on in the world of movie news, even if we don't have time to talk about those things in detail. So let's get you caught up with today's movie news feed. First up, as most of you know, actor Zachary Levi is currently shooting the upcoming DC film Shazam, and now it looks like we have our official logo. This image was released yesterday, giving us our first official look at anything from the upcoming movie. In recent weeks, several behind-the-scenes images have been leaked from the set of the movie, showing Levi in the classic Shazam costume, but not too much in terms of context. While Aquaman will be the first film to hit theaters post-Justice League, the first DC movie that will show what the studio's new leadership has in mind will be Shazam. Shazam hits theaters in April of 2019. Next up, We've known for some time now that Star Wars The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson would be developing a new series of Star Wars films not based on the Skywalkers. Well, according to Rian Johnson's longtime producing partner, Ram Bergman, who worked closely with Johnson on The Last Jedi, it seems work on the new series of Star Wars films has officially begun, albeit slowly. Bergman said the following: "We've started. Slowly, but we've started. Hopefully soon, we're gonna get busier." Very few details about the new films are known at this time, other than they'll be written and developed by Rian Johnson, who plans to direct at least the first film. However, subsequent films could be directed by other directors. Next up, remember March of the Penguins? It's simply one of my all-time favorite documentaries. Well, the sequel is now upon us, March of the Penguins 2, The Next Step. New reviews from the film are making their way online, and they're very, very strong. Filmmaker Luc Jacquet returns to the Antarctic to revisit the emperor penguins who call the frozen continent home. A decade after making his Academy Award-winning March of the Penguins, Jacquet spent 2 months shooting in the Antarctic winter using the new technology of 4K cameras, airborne drones, and under-ice diving to show the astonishing lives of these mysterious creatures in an entirely new light. March of the Penguins 2 tells the story of 2 penguins in particular, a father and a son, as they face and overcome the most unimaginable challenges of life in this hostile land. March of the Penguins 2 launches on Hulu in just a couple of days on March 23rd. Next up, Nick Nolte and Matt Dillon have been cast in the roles of father and son in the upcoming project Honey in the Head, a remake of a hit 2014 German dramedy. Nick Nolte plays a man suffering from Alzheimer's, struggling with his disease and personal grief following the death of his wife after 50 years of marriage. Dillon will play Nolte's son, an American-born husband and father living in England, jointly raising his daughter with his estranged wife, in this case played by Emily Mortimer. The grandfather decides to go on a final road trip to Venice with his granddaughter, but his condition quickly deteriorates. Interesting note here, actor Michael Douglas was originally supposed to play the role that Nick Nolte plays. Next, Parks and Recreation star Amy Poehler has just signed on to produce, star, and direct the upcoming Netflix feature film Wine Country. The movie is said to be a comedy about friends having a weekend celebration of a 50th birthday. According to reports, Poehler's longtime comedy partner Tina Fey is going to make an appearance in the film along with comedy veteran Maya Rudolph. You see, to me, Poehler is a national treasure. Parks and Rec is one of my all-time favorite comedy shows, and her book, Yes Please, is a fantastic read. Wine Country starts shooting by the end of the month. And finally, the new Predator movie is now just 6 months away, and according to reports, the film is currently going through some last-minute reshoots and will have a teaser trailer drop shortly. The writer of the film, Fred Decker, recently took to his social media and said the following: "Hello all, currently in Vancouver shooting some touch-ups for our little movie. I can't tell you what's beyond this fence except to say the body count is alarming. The hunt begins September 14th, 2018. The movie is being directed by Shane Black, whose last film was the incredible project The Nice Guys, which was one of the best films of the year and didn't get nearly the attention it deserved. Here's hoping that Predator is even half as good as that and makes twice as much." And that'll do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed. And there you have it, guys. You are all caught up to date now with everything going on in the world of movie news. And now let's go over to the main topics that you guys email in to me. How do you email in a topic or question for the John Campea Show? It's simple. You email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line and keep those emails to 90 words or less. All right, let's get things rolling with the first question today, which comes to us from Jacob Vanco, who writes, "The clear trend in theaters is headed towards all assigned seating. I like. Also, online movie ticket sales is climbing. Do you think this means we will eventually have third-party ticket websites, legal scalpers, buying up large swaths of tickets only to mark up and resell? It happens in the concert ticket world all the time. Thanks, and the filthy you must bring." All right, well, thanks a lot for the question, Jacob. And yeah, the topic came up the other day, and one of the topics I feel most passionate about over the last number of years about the movie theater industry is that I have been screaming bloody murder for 6 years now, that it is archaic and simply dark ages, that in North America, not every movie theater has pre-assigned seats. It is completely ludicrous to me that Almost every other country in the world is so far ahead of us when it comes at. Like just like 5 years ago, you had a hard time finding any movie theater where you could actually pick your seat in advance. Whereas they've been able to do it in European countries for like 10, 15 years. And yet for some reason we have like dwaddled behind so badly. It's quite frankly quite embarrassing. Anyway, so here we are now. We finally start to see that the movie industry in North America, the movie theater industry, I should say, is moving towards pre-assigned seating. Thank goodness. Coming into the modern age. Anyway, the question gets raised, and it's an interesting question about, could something like this lead to scalpers? Could something like this lead to a situation where some organization swoops in, buys 50 tickets to a showing, and then scalps off those tickets for a marked up price? That is a concern. However, there are a couple of things that would probably prevent that from becoming a big issue. Number one, the movie theater attendance is down. So what you have to have, in order for scalpers to have any type of a presence, you have to have a disproportionate ratio of supply to demand. You have to have demand outweighing supply. And for the most part, that's simply not the case with the movies these days, right? You can get movie tickets. It's hard to find movie showings that are sold out. Yes, there's a Black Panther once in a while. Yes, there's a Star Wars. Yes, there's a Marvel film. But those are the rare exceptions. Most of the time, there's more supply than there is demand. So that's one thing. But the other thing is this. I think what you would see is the MPAA, which is a very powerful body. The Motion Picture Association of America is a very politically powerful body. I think what you'd probably see them do is take real steps. If they ever saw that becoming an issue, I think what you would see is them taking steps to shut down any type of operation that does it. Now, you're never going to stop like Joe Blow, like say me, I'm going to buy 5 tickets to opening night of Infinity War, and then I'm going to stand outside of the theater on opening night and sell them off for like double the price. Something like that, but that's a small scale thing. So I think there are going to be a couple of protections in place to keep it from becoming a big problem in the future. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Could you see ticket scalping becoming a big issue for movies in the future as online ticket ordering and pre-assigned seats become more the norm in North America? Or do you think organizations like the MPA and others will take the appropriate steps to make sure that doesn't become a problem? What do you think? Jump into the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. Next up, let's talk a little bit of Venom here. This next question comes to us from Martin Greggory, and Martin Greggory writes, "Hey John, I'm one of the people really excited for the Venom movie. You and me both, man. To me, October can't get here fast enough. But today I read a report that claimed Tom Hardy doesn't actually turn into Venom until the very end of the movie. Do you know anything about this? If that's true, I'm going to be sort of devastated. What can you tell us?" All right. Now, just for you guys, if any of you don't want to know anything about the upcoming Venom movie, what I'm about to talk about here are simply rumors, all right? But if you want to protect yourself from anything, and there's nothing, I'm not about to talk about anything specific, okay? Just so you know, but if you want to protect yourself from knowing anything, even though what I'm about to talk about is not confirmed or anything like that, you may want to tune out for the next 5 minutes, okay? So I've given you a little bit of a heads up warning there, although I don't consider any of this spoilers myself, but you might. All right, so here's what's happened. A small website, granted a website that is run by a guy who used to be an editor over at IGN, so there's some credibility there, okay? Has written up a report that he has not himself, he doesn't know this for sure, he has just heard from some people. So look, already you can see there's a few massive leaps here, okay? So take this with a massive grain of salt. But that he has heard, and I believe that he's heard this, whether or not it's true is another issue, but that he has heard that in Venom doesn't actually really show up until the very end of the movie. That we see glimpses of the symbiote kind of starting to do things with Tom Hardy throughout the film and manifests itself in certain ways, but you don't see, the rumor is you don't see full-on Venom, like Ray has made him out to look down here in the bottom corner here, that we don't see straight-up Venom until the very end of the movie. Now, this is normally, something like this is normally something I wouldn't even talk about, but I got so many tweets and so many emails from you guys asking about this. I figured, well, everybody wants us to talk about this, so let's talk about it. I don't give this report a lot of authenticity. Not because I don't trust the dude who used to be an editor at IGN, not that at all. I just don't know. I just question the information he's being given. That's all. So I don't really know if this is valid or not. I don't put a lot of stock in it. To be honest with you, after we're done today's show, I'm going to put this entire topic out of my mind because I really don't give it any credence whatsoever. But that being said, it does open the door for a very interesting discussion here about if Sony were to take the approach of a slow build up to Venom and then just at the end of the movie reveal Venom. If they were to take an approach like that, would that be narratively a good approach? Or would it be something like a terrible idea that would disenfranchise and really alienate a lot of the audience? My current thinking on this is really straightforward. I cannot imagine Sony would be stupid enough to have a movie you call Venom and tout it as this Venom movie. We got Tom Hardy, blah, 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 blah. It's called Venom. The movie's called Venom, for fuck's sakes. I cannot fathom that Sony would be so dumb to have a movie called Venom and then not give us Venom until like the last moment of the film. It'd be like having a movie called Rambo and the first 1 hour and 58 minutes is about them looking for a guy called Rambo, and then in the last 2 minutes, Sylvester Stallone comes out. I'm here. The movie was called Rambo. Forgive me for expecting some Rambo. If Sony, this would be a monumental mistake. If, again, and I don't even think these reports are true. I'm just talking theoretically here. Theoretically. If we want to just spitball some random theories and how we would react to them, let's spitball the theory here that Venom doesn't show up in Venom till the very end of the movie. Monumental, devastating error. The audience would revolt. Completely revolt. You especially, and here's the thing, I've got faith in Sony. I believe they can, you know me, I've been excited for this Venom movie. I think they could do some very cool things. I really like everybody that got involved, from the director to the cast to the cinematographer, everything. I've got some faith in this movie. I've got some high expectations. Not super high expectations, but high expectations. I'm looking forward to it. But oh my God. You do a marketing campaign, you tell the audience you're going to have a Venom movie, you're going to get Venom, and then if you give them like Venom for like 6 minutes at the end of the film, the audience is going to flat out revolt. And you can kiss all those other Silver and Black, whatever other ones you got lined up. They just talked about doing a Night Stalker, they said whatever. You can kiss all those movies goodbye. You can just kiss all of them goodbye. Because you are going to so piss off the audience. They are going to be so outrageously mad. I will be one of them. And look, and I don't care what you do with the movie. Like, you can make it more of a mystery. You can make it more action. You can make it more thriller. You can make it whatever you want to make it. That's fine. But if you're going to tell me I'm getting a Venom movie, you fuck well better give me Venom. Give me... I'm getting worked up over something that's not even probably even true, but I'm getting worked up about it. You best as hell give me Venom if you tell me I'm going to get Venom. And... oh my God, Sony would get raked over the coals so badly. This new franchise they're trying to kick off, this Spidey-less Spider-Verse thing, which I still believe can work, but you try to kick it off with this and with an audience revolt that you're going to get if you don't show them Venom until like the last third of the third act of the film or something like that, you are going to get, like, look, Venom doesn't have to show up in the first act. Hell, he doesn't even really have to show up in the second act, but you better well have Venom show up by the tail end of the second act or at the beginning of the third act so we get a good chunk of that movie with Venom. To have him show up in like the last 15 minutes, maybe even the last 20 minutes of the film, forget it. Just forget it. Oh my God, can you imagine? Can you imagine the backlash? Anyway. So I'm just curious to know what you guys think. Do you think there is a way that you could have Venom show up at the very, very end of the Venom movie? Just theoretically. And again, I don't believe these reports are true. I don't. But if we're going to talk in theories, theoretically, do you think there's a way Sony could structure this movie in such a way that if Venom doesn't show up at the very end, it still could be satisfying for the audience? Or do you think, kind of like I do off the top of my head, that they're going to have a straight up audience revolt on their hands? Jump into the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. All right, let's move on to another one that could be setting me up for disappointment. And this next question comes to us from our good friend, Fernando Fernandez, who writes, did you see the new Sicario trailer? That's Sicario 2 Soldado that dropped. Looks like a completely different plot now. I like the all-out war that they were starting, but now with this little girl thing overtaking that original plot, I'm not sure how I feel about it. What do you think? All right. So one of the films I've been kind of giddy about is the upcoming Sicario 2 Soldado. I really like the first one. I think the first trailer for this movie was outstanding. It got me psyched for this movie. When Josh Brolin says to Benicio del Toro, I want you to help us start a war. With who? Everyone. I'm like, ha ha ha, this is going to be great. This is going to be so great. Just watching Benicio del Toro go apeshit on everybody, just shooting everybody everywhere. I was so up for it. And then this next trailer came. And I'm going to tell you, I hate this trailer. Why do I hate the trailer? There's great action in it. It shows us some really cool things. The reason I hate the trailer, and remember, I'm the guy who's always arguing that trailers generally do not give too much away, that sometimes it feels like they give too much away, but I think if we watch the movie in context, we'll realize it. I mean, I'm always saying that, and I'm the one saying here, I feel like they just showed me the whole movie. Like this trailer showing us, okay, yeah, he is starting that war, but then in the midst of starting that war, he comes across the daughter of the man who killed his parents. The daughter then becomes a liability to the CIA, but he develops an emotional bond to this little girl, and the CIA says this little girl's a witness, she's got to be killed, and Benicio del Toro says, well, I can't do that, and Josh Brolin says, don't put me in this position, man, and del Toro says, well, we're in this position, man, and now they're going to go after each other, and blah, blah. I feel like you just gave everything away. Like, if they had just stuck to the thumbprint of that first trailer, just showing us that they're going to war against the drug cartels now, and Benicio del Toro, they're taking the leash off and they're going to let him go, blah, blah. And then in the movie reveal this plot, I think that would have been great. They did not need to show us this young girl subplot, or main plot, I should say, in the trailers. You didn't need to show us that in the trailers. I already had a sense for what this movie was about. I already had a sense for what the tone of the movie is. You had me excited. And I gotta tell you, I feel like my enthusiasm for the movie, and I'm just speaking for myself here, you may feel completely different, which is great, but I feel like they showed me so much, my enthusiasm for the movie actually went down a notch. It's like, now I know everything. I feel like they just held me by the hand and walked me through the first 2.5 acts of the movie and have brought me all the way into the midway point of the third act. And now I'm just going to be going to the movie theater to watch the finale. I feel like now I could probably go to the movie an hour and a half late and sit down and pick up there because I already know everything that's going to happen before it. So I'm the one who's always saying, come on, trailers don't give too much away. Oh my God, I feel like this trailer gave everything away. I'm still excited for it. I'm just saying my excitement level for it has probably just gone down just a little bit of a notch. Just gone down just a notch on this one. But anyway, that's just kind of how I feel about it. All right, guys, we've got about 10 minutes left here. If you haven't sent in a live question by now, guys, please don't send in any more. I don't even think I'm going to be able to get through all the ones that we have right here. But if I don't get through all of them, any of you who sent one in, don't worry. I will cover it on a companion video later. But if you haven't sent in a question yet, do not send in any more questions. So we're going to take the last 10 minutes or so here to take the live questions that you guys have been sending in. And we're going to get things started here with Last of the Time Lords, who writes, update on whether Stallone returns for Rambo 5. I haven't heard anything about it, one way or the other. Look, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. But at the same time, I haven't heard anything about it. So that's probably not going to happen. But with Stallone, man, never say never. Trojan of Narnia writes, have you seen I Can Only Imagine? It's not like most Christian movies, aka propaganda films, and instead it's more of a biopic. Have you seen it? I have not seen it, and it actually did pretty well. I think it came in 3rd or 4th at the box office this week. Let me just pull up the box office, but it did surprisingly well. I think they were even very, very surprised with how well that it did. Let's see. Let's pull up the weekend box office here. I can only imagine, actually, yeah, it came in third place, made $17 million, which is great for a movie that had like a $7 million budget, which is a huge budget for like a faith-based film and stuff like that. I didn't watch it. Look, even as a Bible college student, I never liked Christian-themed movies at all. Even as a Bible college and seminary student, I did not like Christian movies at all. I always thought they were head-slapping embarrassments. I hated Christian movies. Hated them. So I've got some emotional baggage that comes along with that. So no, I didn't watch it. I'm not interested in it personally. But hey, I'm thrilled whenever a small movie with a small budget put something together and they enjoy some success. I'm always thrilled for that, whatever the movie is. And it's really kind of cool to see the success that it's enjoying. And hopefully it's a good movie and people who are going out to watch it are enjoying it. But it's just really, I just got too much history with them that I just have no interest in watching them. Let's see. Last of the Time Lords writes, best Chuck Norris movie, your thoughts. Best Chuck Norris movie. Okay. You're obviously talking about films like Code of Silence. You're talking about films like Delta Force. You're talking about films like, what was it? Delta Force, Code of Silence, Invasion USA is another one. What was the other franchise one? The one he did number of them. Blah, blah, blah. Something, Missing in Action. That's another one. Those are some big ones. I'm going to go Delta Force, the original Delta Force. Delta Force, I'm going to say, is my favorite one of the Chuck Norris movies. All right, let's move on here. Next one, Sentez Henderson writes, why do you think Warner Brothers is hesitant on A Man of Steel 2? The first movie made a profit as well as BVS, and everyone loves Cavill as Superman. Well, no, Sentez, not everyone loves Cavill as Superman. I do, but a lot of people did not like the first Man of Steel. And look, just because I call it a masterpiece of the genre doesn't mean I stick my head in the sand and ignore the reality that a hell of a lot of people didn't like that movie. It's just the reality. As much as it hurts me and as much as it pains me to say, it's just the reality. Plus, the entire DCEU is in a shambles right now. I don't think they really know what to do with their DCEU in general. Are they rebooting it? Maybe they are. Are they moving to a all individual standalone films kind of idea and concept and kind of ditching the idea of the shared DCEU? Maybe. Maybe they're just trying to reevaluate and re-architecture it to figure out how to put it back all together again. I don't know. But I think there's probably like 1,000,001 different reasons why they haven't announced one yet. And all I know is if you're not going to be smart and reboot the DCEU, which is the smart thing to do, but if you're not going to do that, then yeah, why the hell don't we have a Man of Steel? It's Superman, for heaven's sakes. But again, there are 1,001 reasons why we probably don't have one announced yet. Gabriel Mengesha writes, leaked, now deleted scene showed Collector being killed while Guardians of the Galaxy hold and looked. Movie will open with that, then follow Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't think so. I don't think any of that is legit. Gabriel writes again, by the way, Heimdall and Drax are totally dead. Oh, I don't think so. I mean, who knows? Maybe, absolutely. It's totally possible. Part of the Collector scene is on YouTube. Well, I don't like to talk about leaked stuff. James B. writes, I'm really excited for the new Captain Marvel movie the MCU has coming out. Your thoughts? Oh, I'm super excited about it. Just number one, because it's Captain Marvel. Number two is you've got an Academy Award winning actress playing the lead role, which is exciting. It opens up, the fact that they're going to be going back to another time era, much like they did with Captain America First Avenger, I think is very exciting. And then how they're going to tie this all, the way it's positioned in between Avengers 3 and Avengers 4 makes it very exciting about how it's going to tie into both of those films. There are so many things about this Captain Marvel movie to be excited about. And yeah, I'm kind of giddy about it, to be honest with you. Ben Heusa writes, I hope those Venom rumors are false. I mean, it could work if the story narrates good. If the story narrates good and the build-up is done properly. Oh, by the way, cause Iron Spider. Very funny, Ben. Yeah, look, I don't believe the rumors at all. Again, not because I don't think the guy who wrote them isn't credible, but remember, he's not saying he heard it directly. He's saying he has read that and he's heard that and he's hearing whispers. So I doubt that what he's hearing is correct. Okay, so I'm not trying to cast shade on that guy's credibility. He was very forthcoming in saying, hey, look, I don't know this directly. Even in his report, he's saying these are the whispers I'm hearing. So I'm not casting shade on his credibility, but rather the credibility of the information he's being given. I don't think it's real because, oh my God, how could anybody in a Sony boardroom hear about this idea and they have this idea pitch in front of them where Venom doesn't actually show up till the very end of the movie and go, yeah, this sounds good. Everybody's going to love this. No one's going to be mad and revolt against us. Not at all. I can't imagine anybody would be that dumb. All right, let's see here. Nathan C. writes, this is what we love. This is our gangbang. What was, this is, that's from the Tag. Is that from Tag? I think that's from the Tag trailer. I loved that trailer, by the way. That trailer was great. If you guys, I talked about the trailer on yesterday's show. If you haven't watched that trailer, go and watch that trailer. It is really fun, and that is a very funny line in it. This is our gangbang. Santez writes, damn it, John, you make me feel like I'm hanging out with a pal every day talking about movies. You're too damn awesome. Well, that's one of the reasons why I love doing the show, man, because I feel like I'm hanging out with a bunch of movie-loving friends, and we're just sitting here talking about movies. I could do that all day, every day. I would die if I did it all day, every day. But I mean, I feel like I could do this every day. It is so much fun. And that's what the film fan community is all about, man. So thanks for making that comment. Let's see. Nathan C. writes, everyone loves Simon, a surprise and deserves legs. It does deserve legs. It's certainly not going to be for everybody, but it's a heartfelt movie. It resonates. It's about human experiences. It's charming. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. So yeah, if you seriously got a free night and you're just kind of kicking around ideas about what movies do I go see, and you're deciding whether or not to see like Black Panther for the 8th time or Love, Simon, give Love, Simon a shot. I think you should give it a shot. Let's see. Last of the Time Lords writes, will we get Namor in the MCU? Your thoughts? I think eventually, but does eventually mean in the next 2 years or in the next 8 years or in the next 18 years? Hard to say. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I do believe at some point it will happen. Let's see. Aiden Haspel writes, I know you don't like the others, but thoughts on the first Pirates of the Caribbean? Top 10 movie scores, in my opinion. Such a great feeling of adventure. Dude, the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie? I mean, come on, that movie shocked all of us because, like, first of all, really? A movie based on a Disneyland ride? Are you kidding me? This is going to be stupid. Amazing. So you're right. Like very few movies of the past 20 years have captured that adventure like Pirates of the Caribbean did. And you got Jeffrey Rush's Barbossa. All Johnny Depp, of course, became iconic as Captain Jack Sparrow. I mean, that first movie was so good. It only adds to my disappointment of what the franchise became, but that doesn't diminish how great that first movie is. I love the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And despite the fact that I haven't liked any of the other ones, that Pirates of the Caribbean theme is still one of my favorite movie themes. I mean, it's great. You just feel like swinging from a rope when you hear it, right? I mean, it's a great theme. So yeah, I love it. All right, time for just a couple more here. This one comes to us from Anthony C. who writes, chances we get a Stark/Hank Pym scene in Infinity War or Avengers 4. Possible. But here's the thing. Really, that scene would be far more impactful if it was Hank Pym and Stark Sr., if it was Tony's dad. If that were the case, that would be a more impactful scene. Hank Pym, I don't think, has ever had real issue just with Tony. They've never really alluded to Tony and Hank having a negative history of any sorts, other than because of who Tony's dad is. But it's possible. It's completely possible we could see that scene. And I'd be up for it. Luke Woodard writes, are so-called built-in audiences a real thing? To a degree. So, for instance, if they were to make a Big Bang Theory, and I'm one of the few people out there, I think that's a really overrated show. I don't find that show funny at all, but a lot of people do. Great. If they were to make a Big Bang Theory movie, there is, to a degree, a built-in audience that will come over with it. Not everybody who watches the show, we've seen that. A lot of people think, well, everybody who watches a show will come and see the movie based on it. We've found out that that's not true. That's not true. But it is accurate to say that there would be a certain degree of a built-in audience that comes along with it prior to any marketing. And really, that's all a built-in audience means, is that even prior to marketing the film, there is a certain segment of people that would come and see that movie regardless of the marketing. That's what they refer to as a built-in audience. And to some degree, it is real. It's not as big of a thing as some people think, but it is a legitimate phenomena. It is a real thing. All right. Just two more here. Anthony C. writes, why were studios afraid to produce The Irishman? I think for a couple reasons. One, they probably didn't think the script was good enough to bring in a big audience. Number two, they thought the budget was far too big for how much money it would make. Number three, Scorsese is a genius, but his last number of movies haven't done well at the box office. So you put all those things together, and why would a studio invest that much money to make a movie that they don't think is going to make them any money or lose them money? Studios aren't in the business to lose money. They're in the business to make money. Let's see. Kalis Menon writes, I get a feeling Infinity War won't be as good as the first Avengers. Oh, maybe it is, maybe it won't. But like to me, Avengers is the greatest comic book movie of all time. Infinity War doesn't have to be. See, that's what drives me a little bit crazy is sometimes like, okay, this new movie comes out and people go, oh, will it be better than this other fantastic great movie? It's like, why are we even asking that? Doesn't need to be. Like, we don't ask every time a new movie comes out, will we go, yeah, but is it better than The Godfather? Because if it's not as good as The Godfather, what's the point? I mean, the point is to have another good movie. And I know this isn't what you're suggesting, Kalis. I know that this isn't what you're saying. But there are people out there who go, like, a new Star Wars movie comes out, and the first thing people ask me is it as good as Empire Strikes Back? Is it better than Empire Strikes Back? It's like, well, why are we even asking that? Shouldn't the question just be, will it be good? Will it be entertaining? Will it be fun? Like, just ask that, not will it be good? So to me, Avengers Infinity War doesn't need to be as good as Avengers. It doesn't need to be. Avengers to me is the number one comic book movie of all time. It doesn't need to be that good. Just be good. It's all it's got to be. So whether it will be as good as the first Avengers or not, to me is kind of irrelevant. Maybe it will be as good, maybe it won't be as good, but that's not, to me, that's not the important question. The important question to me is just will it be good at all? All right, final question today. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Let's see. Edmund Zippo writes, is 12 Angry Men the greatest of all time or what? Saw it yesterday. Well, no, to me, it's not the GOAT, but it's great. I mean, it's great. And you know what's really funny about 12 Angry Men is despite how old that movie is, it stands up. To me, that movie completely stands up. And like you're saying, you watched it yesterday. I think you can watch it for the first time today and not be thrown off by the age of the film or anything like that. You can appreciate it's just a great story, the way it's told. It's a wonderful film. It's not in my personal top 10, but it's a great film, and I'm glad you saw it and enjoyed it. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Once again, guys, if you sent in a live question that didn't get addressed, don't worry. I will address it on the companion video that comes a little bit later today. All your questions get answered. Don't forget, guys, you can follow me on Twitter, simply at John Campea. And listen, also, if you are somebody who enjoys my shows and enjoys watching the show, do me a favor. Just go over to www.patreon.com/John Campea and just get the information on what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps these shows on the air, and maybe even more importantly, what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter. A lot of people ask for audio podcasts. The Patreon supporters get the audio version of the podcasts for all these shows as well. So just go check it out, and then maybe you will want to become a Patreon supporter too. Special thanks to all you guys who send in super chats. Not only do you keep the conversation going, it's a great way to support this channel. Thank you so much for that. All right, guys, that will do it for me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.